We're trying to do low input farming, so we're trying to do kind of the pasture, purely pasture raised livestock with the rotational principles and trying to farm with nature. So that's our core principles of what we're trying to do. So it is basically what you would see happen in nature or back in the historic time. So we're moving our cattle and sheep regularly at the moment, just because of the little one, we're moving them weekly. We were moving them twice a week before. The ideal is to get them down to weekly as well.
To daily.
Daily, sorry. To daily.
On this week's FAS TV, we're at Guardswell Farm, a 180-acre pasture-based farm nestled in the hills between Perth and Dundee. Anna and Digby have strong farming values where they actively seek to enhance nature, biodiversity, wildlife, woodland and the environment throughout their farm, their livestock enterprises and diversifications. They've introduced Hebridean sheep and Shetland cattle, which are brilliant conservation grazers, helping to boost floral, fauna and fungal diversity around the farm. Guardswell was the perfect host for this year's Rare Breed Survival Trust Conference, which focused on native breeds and their role in Scotland's agricultural future, and featured a live butchery demonstration by Euan Simpson, Master Butcher at Bowhouse in Fife.
So I grew up on the Carsagarry, the kind of flat land below the Braes. My grandfather and my mum had a commercial herb farm, and in 2010-ish things were changing and a lot of big life changes, and they ended up moving or buying Guardswell with the intention of moving up here full time. But because of some health issues in the family, that didn't end up happening. I was home having studied marine biology and then also been and done a kind of cookery diploma and didn't really know totally what I was going to do with my life, and this beautiful steading was sitting here falling to pieces, and it just felt like it was in the most beautiful position and we wanted to be able to share it with people. It started off as really just a small hut. We wanted to run rural skills courses and eventually take the whole of the farm back in hand, and it's definitely snowballed into sort of 3 huts, accommodation for 30 people and a rural event space in which we run everything from like produce markets to workshops to weddings to conferences like today.
I had a job in the corporate world. I was a management consultant commuting up and down to London, and on the way there we started a cider business on the farm as well. So we've got 2,000 apple trees on the farm, and as that's been growing, and then we were looking at it that we wanted to take the farm back in hand. And so a year and a half ago, I left my job as a management consultant and came to help with the agritourism business, but also as we started to scale the farm. So 2 years ago, we started to scale our Hebridean flock and start a Shetland herd as well.
The Hebrideans was historic, so that was sort of me. I bought 8 Hebridean sheep a very long time ago with kind of no real intention of having more than 8, and now we're kind of closer to 200 with pretty much 8 bought in over time, so it's completely organic growth in that sense. But yeah, they're a lovely breed. We definitely have our challenges with them as well, as I'm sure most people with Hebrideans do as well. But yeah, Digby can maybe tell you a bit about the choice of the Shetlands.
So for the Shetlands, we wanted a native breed, but also one that was going to be okay with a full grass system, outwintered. But also we like the idea with the Shetlands because they're also dual purpose, so you can milk them, so they're quite a milky cow. We're not milking them yet, but we are the intention, especially with the agritourism business, that we'll be able to do that and have an outlet for a kind of nano dairy on the farm. As well as those, we've also got some Shropshire sheep as well, which have just disappeared over the hill, which are being brought in, and we're doing a little test with them at the moment because Shropshire sheep, whilst not native to Scotland, are native to England, and they are seen to not eat trees. And so we'll then be able to use them to graze our orchards so we can get another crop off the orchards as well as the apples. We're trying to do low input farming, so we're trying to do kind of the pasture, purely pasture raised livestock with the rotational principles and trying to farm with nature. So that's our core principles of what we're trying to do. So it is basically what you would see happen in nature or back in the historic time. So we're moving our cattle and sheep regularly at the moment, just because of the little one, we're moving them weekly. We were moving them twice a week before. The ideal is to get them down to weekly as well.
To daily.
To daily, sorry. To daily.
In terms of like improving biodiversity on the farm, when we bought the farm, and absolutely no criticism to those who were here before us, it was very, very productive in a ryegrass sense, like lush, knee-high Italian ryegrass, and pretty much that was it. There were no hedges, there were very few trees, there were loads of hares, but pretty much no other kind of like invertebrate bird life, species diversity in terms of plant life as well. So our kind of big aim over the last few years, especially ourselves, has been to kind of improve that as significantly as we can. So we've planted tens of thousands of trees, we've tried to hedge almost every fence line, we've still got lots and lots and lots of hedging to do, and we've learnt lots about hedging as we've gone along. We want to do some more kind of like planting within pastures, so we've got some shading for the cattle, but also create kind of more pockets kind of to link up all of the different wildlife corridors that we've kind of like created around the farm, I guess.
With the cattle, because we're moving them on a quite regular basis and then doing regular fecal egg counts, we're not using a wormer on the cattle, so we've seen a lot of the insect life come back on that. The sheep, we're not quite there yet. We've reduced it dramatically of what we've been able to do, but I think because of the large worm burden from the previous farming that was done on the farm, we haven't been able to fully get rid of it. In the older sheep, we have the lambing, not so much yet, but it's something that we're noticing and is a big thing that we're trying to change.
But in like the native breed sort of selection process as well, kind of like a good level of ability to withstand a worm burden, I think is
important.
At the moment, the majority of our meat is actually sold to guests to the farm. So when people come and stay, kind of the really important thing to us is that whilst they're staying with us, everything that they eat then can come from the farm. So so they can buy the Hebridean, hog it directly from us. So we do hog it because the native breed takes a slightly longer time to reach maturity to a decent size before it can go away.
Oh, so in terms of the beef, we sell all the cuts of the beef through the business. So we are looking at how we can start to do more direct retail through online or to the kind of other retailers around. But that at the moment, we're able to move all of our own beef and hog it through the business here.
To guests, but also through events. So like today we had the sausages for breakfast were our beef sausages, and I think there's hogget for lunch.
There's hogget for lunch as well. My parents had Shetlands and also Castle McMurray sheep, but I do think they're just quite well suited to the environment and what we're trying to do. So whilst they are a lot slower growing and they are a smaller animal as well, they do have a better tasting, I think, better meat quality. The marbling that we're seeing on the cattle, especially when we're putting them away, is really good for the age that they're at compared to some of the other cattle that you see.
Which is also maybe a mixture of both their breed but also the grazing management as well.
Yeah, but as we're keen just to have an animal that will thrive outside on pasture and not have to it's got minimal inputs, and the native breeds were evolved or bred to be like that. So it's just they've evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in ways that we used to farm in Scotland, that they thrive in our environment, and so they work in a traditional system rather than a conventional system.
We have found RBSC to be a very interesting charity over the kind of period of time that we've been kind of looking at breed choice and stuff as well, but also Digby's dad and mum used to be involved with it, so I guess there's an element of that. So mix. She's off.
Buying the initial stock is really important. I think people then become very attached to their starters as well, so you need to kind of make sure you're sourcing from a reputable source, and RBST and some others are really useful with local networks and everyone, so they can help put you in touch with various breeders around the place so you can try and find a good starting flock or herd or mix.
Which I guess is what we were really keen to do as well. RBST helped us in that sense, in that our first wherever they are, Baby was one of them, and Blizzard and Bronte, who's behind. I think to us it was really important that our starter herd was really quite docile and well handled, because we were really brand new to cattle and we wanted something that we wouldn't feel too intimidated by in the first instance, I guess.
And we do quite regular moves, and the cattle that we had didn't come from that system, but they were well handled enough that it was okay to then move them into that system where it'd be easy to make them adapt, rather than getting something wild off the hill that was going to be quite a challenge. Got a new bull arriving tonight who we have no idea, so he might be a challenge.
The key themes for this conference, it's our second conference that we've ever held before. Our theme is native breeds, their role in Scotland's agricultural future. We've got 3 panels today, which consist of a variety of speakers from the agricultural economy, talking about the inputs, outputs, opportunities and production challenges of native breeds. Rare and native breeds are important because as agricultural reform changes in the UK, you're seeing a lot of policy changes and government changes which native breeds can fit into perfectly, as they are well matured for the environment, they have lower inputs, they can be outside wintered and they have lower vet costs as well. It makes perfect sense for any farm business if they want to be financially viable and sustainable. So overall, native breeds are absolutely fantastic for regenerative farming. Native breeds have the ability to graze on grassland. They don't need to be grain fed, which is a better environmental input. They can be outwintered as well. They can survive on just silage. Native breeds are smaller, generally speaking. They're not going to poach the ground as much and not cause as much destruction on the ground as well, meaning that soil also has opportunities for regrowth from the ground up. Guardswell as a venue is absolutely fantastic because what they do is they have their native breeds, they have their Shetland cattle and they have their Hebridean sheep, but they also promote sustainability in all aspects, and also they have the environment to mind too. As you can see, the landscape around us is absolutely beautiful, and we share their message, and that's why we've chosen to pick Guardswell as an ultimate venue for our second conference. So I've recently applied for a Nuffield scholarship. Fingers crossed that I get in. If not, I can try next year. My chosen subject, which I'm very interested in, is seeing how other countries work with their own native breeds, which mirrors their government policy, different diversification schemes, tourism streams as well. I'm really keen to go and explore that and see if we can have any lessons we can take back for the UK, which we can learn from and hopefully teach our farmers, smallholders, crofters as well, for different uses in the native breeds that they have.
My name is Euan. I am the butchery manager for Bowhouse estate in Fife. It's basically an integral part of the estate because it means that we can sell the meat from the estate through to the end user, so there's no missing out of it. It's basically field to fork, and we can then advise and guide customers when they're coming in and for different cuts or different bits or whatever else. So it's the complete process of the whole lot of it. Today I am going to be breaking down a 4/4 of beef. We've already taken off the rib section, but I have it with me as well, so I'll split that down as well. And basically I'm going to take out cuts that you probably haven't seen elsewhere. So for us, we take out, because we do whole carcass, we take out about 12 different cuts of steak above your prime cuts. So your 4 prime cuts are your rump, your ribeye, your sirloin and your fillet, and we take out another 12 above that. Part of that is so we can use the whole carcass. The other one is it's lessens waste, but also it's to help people's budgets as well. Your prime cuts are the most expensive, that's what people know. The lesser cuts, the non-prime ones, just as tasty, just as full of flavour, but a budget or a bargain price that will fit in with most people's budgets. We have Lincoln Red on the estate. The Lincoln Red breed itself would be, historically it would be raised on kind of rolling fields, grasslands, etc, etc. And because that's still what it is in the East Nuke, we're very similar to where it would have been natively, then the ability to convert grass into meat and fat is absolutely amazing. And the quality it gives and the flavour it gives is second to none. We also have Tamworth pigs, and it's the same thing. It's the fat content and the quality of it, the quality of the meat is just amazing. My history is I was a retail manager up until 4 years ago when I became a butcher. So I joined Bowhouse as a butchery apprentice or assistant, and now I'm running the butchery. The difference for me is that, like when I look at the staff that we've got now working the butchery, is that we're foodies and we look at it from a different point of view. A lot of butchers are time served, etc, but they're kind of set in their ways. Not in a bad way, there's something for everybody, but for us, we look at every different cut and we're thinking all the time going, how can you make this into something? What is this good for? What can we do with this? And I think that's a different kind of way. So when we got our last member of staff, we weren't looking for someone who was just out of school, maybe looking for something to do, get them out the door into a job. We wanted somebody with a passion in food. And if they've got that passion, you can teach them anything. If somebody doesn't have a passion, you can teach them, but it might not translate across. So finding that passion within them first, for a passion for food, it's that thing of you can then go on with it. So I think possibly targeting across into, to get more people in, people have to start getting more interested back in cooking and food again. And then either could be a chef or that, want to take a break, come across and learn other skills. But it is a dying trade. It's a very it is a very artisanal trade, I think, as well. It's one of these things of, you don't see it listed many places for people to do that anymore. One of the things that we have for using different cuts and for trying different cuts, we've actually got a leather board outside our butchery. We did the design work for it, and another member of staff who does leather work, I'm actually going to be wearing an apron that he made later on, he put it up. It's under the tagline of anatomy. So the original word of anatomy is to dissect or cut. And basically what it's for is so that people will have a look at that and then look at some of the names or the bits on it and go, I don't know what that is. And it props the question in their head already that they'll then come into the butchery and go, I read this, what's that? And from there it's that engagement. And you get that engagement with them. People shouldn't be scared, but I think the problem is like one of the things I hinted on earlier in here is that supermarkets have too much control. And basically people are used to going to supermarkets and you get 4 types of steak, burgers, mince, stew. That's it. Whereas there's so much more you can do with carcasses in every single part of it. And it's just that thing of going, well, actually, no, I want to try something different. A lot of butchers, or some butchers, may be able to help them and push them forward in that. So yeah, it's searching for the different things or trying something different or pushing themselves out of their comfort zone to try something else as well.